It is not you who guides a stone, but it is Allah that is the one who's power over all things. We keep going back to this basic concept, right? We're saying that we are the children of Adam that believe La ilaha illallah. Thou shalt not worship any other God besides me. There is no other God. I am your Lord thy God. Thou shalt not worship any other Lord besides me. The same thing that Adam told you and Noah told his people and Abraham and Moses is now being said by David. And he goes out there and he hits the stone against Goliath. Now somebody else threw a stone at one of the other races. Do you know who that was? It's a question. Think back about the story. If you don't remember, go back and watch it again. Goliath goes down, but unlike the G-rate version, David runs up, takes a knife, sacrifices the behemoth, sacrifices the giant, sacrifices the Goliath, Jalut, and holds his humongous, gigantic head up into the air to show them. We are the children of Adam. We are the children of Adam. We believe in the Lord Most High. It is at this point that David becomes the king of the people, right? And he is chosen as to be a great prophet. And so the promised land is started with the great prophet David. And so to not let the story get too long, we get to the most fundamental change in the history of man. Solomon. The prophet Suleiman. The prophet Suleiman. The prophet Suleiman is one of the most amazing prophets in the story. And there is some fundamental points that you must understand to really get what is going on. So far, the situation on this earth has not been going very well. And between our war with good, believing in the light of the Lord Most High, the one who created the universe, and our war with the other races and interdimensional beings and jinns, and Satan as leading them all, and all of his army, the world is a really messed up place. And the tribes of Israel are trying to do whatever they can to protect themselves. And so a great prophet comes, and his name is Solomon. Now Solomon has some amazing tasks because the world is really, really getting out of control. And the level of blackness and the darkness from the technology from the other side and the malevolence interfering with what was going on the planet at that time was just beyond what was believable. And outside of the basic tribes, the idea of God was almost non-existent. Meaning, other than those who were the Jews, God was pretty much fairly unknown in the rest of the earth. And so it's important to understand the Jewish community in their significance at this time. And to them comes the great prophet Solomon. Now, if you go back and understand some of the tales, you will see very clearly that Solomon had some difficulties. Now, in the Christian books, you don't find this because, as we said, the Christians, they miss the one important fundamental, that there are jinns. And so because they believe in angels and fallen angels and they get all of this skewed, they refuse to believe any of the references to Solomon and his abilities to have powers. One day Solomon was amongst his people, and there was this young man that he liked and admired, and he always used to see him as one of his people in his kingdom, that whenever he gave him anything, and the next time he'd see him, the boy would have nothing, and he would always look sick. And so it's narrated in the stories that the boy tells Solomon, one of the jinns, one of the aliens comes and somehow he's feeding on me. I don't know if he's draining my blood. We're not sure what the exact reference is, and possibly the scholars know specifically, but there's some indication clearly that the other races are draining him or feeding him. Some kind of wraith type being is draining him and robbing him. Now this disturbs Solomon so much because he's thinking things are getting out of control, and I know there's so much going on out there, and we, the believers in the true Lord, are getting overtaken by the forces of evil. We need something to increase the light. We need something to increase the light. So Solomon begs Allah for knowledge that no one else has had before. See, now here's where the story gets interesting. As I told you, just when you think it should be somewhat sensical, the truth is even stranger than fiction. The truth is always stranger than fiction. And what I promised you was that I would tell you the truth. Now Solomon asks for a gift from the Lord Most High, as a true prophet bearing the light and the true faith of the Lord on the earth. And so what kind of gift is Solomon given? See, we know at this time there were some strange things going on and spreading of sorcery and magic, like we said, and possibly the aliens and the other jinns are teaching people black magic and some of the minerals and elements and different things. Now Solomon is given everything. Well, as we've said, that we know that the jinns or the aliens or the other races are in a dimension or density different than ours. And so some spiritual guides have taught people how to go to the next dimension, as in Joseph, when he was able to dream and understand the movements of the soul. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and look at the story. But Solomon gets what we might call the ability to understand all of the dimensions. This is Solomon. Now, what does that mean? When we've been saying that there are so many different dimensions and understandings, we've said if we go back and understand our very first fundamental is that La ilaha illallah. There is a Lord Most High. And when we say Most High, what does that mean? That this universe and the stars and the galaxies and the planets and all the humans and jinns and other races that may or may not be existing anywhere beyond in our universe, that Solomon got the power to communicate with all living things. And when I say all living things, I mean that everything within our universe that is created by God is alive. That which Allah makes is alive. That which Allah, the Lord Most High, the real true God, makes is alive. Everything in the universe is alive. And Solomon gets this most amazing gift as one of the great noble prophets to be able to communicate with everything. That included all of the other races, but in addition to that, the trees and the wind and the animals. But even beyond that. Now, when I say animals, it's kind of important because a lot of things that we think of being alive, like animals, of course animals are alive and so people can talk to them. Now if you study modern day ufologists, or as we would say interdimensional beings scientists or whistleblowers in the field, they'll tell you that in their interaction with all of the jinns who are benevolent, they've shown them that they communicate telepathically, and even that on their planets and in their places they have animals and they are able to communicate with their animals telepathically. And it's an interesting concept because we know that Solomon was able to get this ability. But he was able to even get an ability that was beyond that, to be able to talk to the trees and the wind and the insects, to be able to understand the communication of all things. To be able to understand the communication of all things. And once this happened, Solomon knew more than anybody else. Because Solomon then was able to communicate with even the elements, each element, and Solomon was able to know what each element's property was. Now, some of the alien races had been teaching random people different little parts of different pieces of the knowledge, but Solomon was given the ability to communicate with everything. Now with that, obviously, he is the wisest of the wise, because he actually understands and can feel the life of the earth around him and communicate with it.